In presenting the award to the Bangladesh Center for Worker Solidarity, I just want to begin by mentioning Neil Kearney, who was the General Secretary of the International Textile Leather Garment Workers Federation. I used to wonder if there was anyone in the world, and I mean that literally, who struggled against sweatshops, who did not know Neil Kearney. Neil was everywhere. He kept up a punishing schedule, and he died much too young while on a mission to Bangladesh. If he were here, he would admonish me for talking about him, but he would also be so proud that we are here to recognize and honor the work of the Bangladesh Center for Worker Solidarity. The global apparel industry, for those of you who don't follow it, is an authoritarian in the world today, are produced under conditions where workers are denied basic internationally recognized rights. And this occurs at a time in the global industry when the firms in this industry have spent billions of dollars, that's billions with a B, on so-called corporate social responsibility programs. There are over 3 million apparel workers in Bangladesh in about 5,000 factories. Bangladesh is the third largest exporter to the U.S. market after China and Vietnam. Walmart is the biggest buyer, accounting for roughly 10% of the entire country's exports. Bangladesh has the lowest wages in the global industry, some of the longest hours, the worst record on fire and building safety, an extremely low rate of union representation, and some of the most abusive management practices anywhere. The current minimum wage in Bangladesh for apparel workers is 21 cents an hour, increased from 11 cents an hour last year. This remains the lowest wage by a substantial margin in any major apparel producing country. By comparison, the 21 cents an hour paid to apparel workers, by comparison, the Worker Rights Consortium, whose representatives are here, have studied this issue in Bangladesh, and they estimate that a living wage in Bangladesh would be about $1.20 an hour. Apparel workers are paid 21 cents an hour in Bangladesh. Since Bangladesh has become a major player in the apparel sector in the 90s, there have been numerous factory fires. More than 500 workers have been killed in these fires. There were 2 deadly fires just in the last year, including a fire in March 2010 at a factory mainly producing for H&M, which killed 20 workers, and a fire in December of 2010 at a factory producing for Gap, Target, VF, PVH, Abercrombie & Fitch, Kohl's, JCPenney, Oshkosh. These conditions we live with every day, we buy every day in American stores. Both of these factories, by the way, where these fires took place, had been audited regularly by the companies, by the monitors working for the brands. The low wages and the abysmal conditions in Bangladesh have resulted in massive worker protests over the last several years, with tens of thousands of workers marching. Deaths at the hands of the police are not uncommon in Bangladesh. The unrest is the logical and inevitable result of a strategy of the local industry and the government to hold down wages and labor costs to keep Bangladesh the lowest cost producer in the world. And since the government can't admit the real reasons for the unrests, it scapegoats labor rights activists and union leaders, accusing them of fomenting riots and in some cases jailing them and subjecting them to criminal charges. And that brings us to tonight's honorees. If the 3 representatives can maybe step forward right up here. Kalpana Akhter and Babul Akhter are 2 of the founders of the Bangladesh Center for Worker Solidarity. By the way, none of these people are related, although their last names sound very similar. They are both former apparel workers. Kalpona started working in the factories at age 12. We also have with us Alea Akhter, who is currently working in apparel factories and is an active leader and organizer supported by the Bangladesh Center for Worker Solidarity. Kalpona and Babul were jailed in the summer of 2010. They were released after heavy international pressure on the government, which I think many people in this room contributed to. Babul was tortured and will soon go on trial on serious charges, some of which carry the death penalty. Kalpona faces prosecution on the charges against her, some of which carry a penalty of life imprisonment. However, even in the face of this oppression, they remain fearless advocates for workers and the Bangladeshi labor movement. The government has put forward no credible evidence against them, and the charges are widely regarded as transparently false. And yet, these trials are coming up. We honor them tonight for their dedication to the rights of Bangladeshi apparel workers and their commitment to organizing and helping to create a global movement against sweatshops. And I'm honored and humbled to be in their presence.